We bring you the latest edition of MBC News. This is Romeo Mari coming up with the news. Malawi needs at least 209 billion kwacha to recover from the impact of natural disasters. Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, MERA, justifies the 41% fuel price increase. The High Court in Blantyre gives 21 days to parties involved in a case challenging the law that prohibits begging to submit necessary documents. In our first story, Chief Secretary to the government, Justin Saidi, says the country needs at least 209 billion kwacha to fully recover from the impact of natural disasters that have affected most parts of the country. Saidi made the remarks in Lilongwe when Standard Bank donated 50 million kwacha towards flood relief for people affected by devastating floods in Nkhotakota district. According to Saidi, Nkhotakota district alone requires 8 billion kwacha, of which 4 billion kwacha has already been mobilized. More in this report by Mainto Moti.
Chief Secretary to Government Justin Saidi says total response requirements for the 3-month emergency phase from January to March 2026 are estimated at 8.6 billion kwacha, out of which 4.6 billion kwacha has been mobilized, leaving a gap of 4 billion kwacha from Nkhotakota district. Saidi adds that as the country continues to experience the growing impacts of climate change and extreme weather events, there is need to invest deliberately and consistently in building national resilience to disasters. Saidi has since appealed to the private sector and development partners to continue supporting government efforts to implement resilience-building interventions that strengthen food security, including the expansion of irrigation farming and other climate-smart agricultural practices.
Within Nkhotakota, we are looking at a budget of 8 billion, and so far a certain amount has been raised, and we require about a sum of 4 billion to support them. But countrywide, we are thinking about not less than 200 billion kwacha, because it's not only about getting places for these people, it's also providing the resources, the amenities, the food, because these people have lost almost like everything. The houses, the cattle and what have you, they have been lost, and we need to support them. So hence the numbers are big, because we are looking at cumulatively what is there that require these people to live happily.
On his part, Standard Bank Chief Executive Philip Madinga says the impact of the devastating floods is a wake-up call for the nation to focus more on building resilience before disasters strike. He says the donation is meant to complement government efforts in addressing the immediate needs of the victims.
As Standard Bank, we say we want to drive Malawi's growth. But driving Malawi's growth also includes making sure that the people in the country, wherever they are living happily in an environment that's safe, especially now with climate change. And our view at Standard Bank is that we need to be proactive. To be resilient requires that you also plan ahead. And so we are delighted that when you look at the plans that Dodima has and the Malawi government, the current administration has, they are really pointing towards plans that ensure that we are less reactive, but also more proactive, and this is why I think as Standard Bank we want to partner. We want to partner with government. This particular donation, the 50 million kwacha that we're providing to Nkhotakota, will not be the implementing partners. The implementing partners are World Vision International. We have a partnership with them because we believe they have a very good outreach, they have the experience, they have the expertise. But I think more importantly is that we already have a partnership that not only talks to reacting to situations like this. We have an initiative called Intengwanga Initiative, where we supporting reforestation. We are supporting, making sure that the land wherever people are is taken care of. So yes, I mean, being agile requires that not only Standard Bank, but the rest of the private sector, public sector, DODIM and many others, and the international community NGOs come together. And at Standard Bank, we're ready to collaborate and work with them.
World Vision International has partnered with the bank through the Department of Disaster Management Affairs (DOTMA) to implement the relief response in Kotakota. Director of Programs for World Vision International, Charles Magombo, says the situation in Kotakota calls for collective action to ensure that the dignity of the affected people is restored. Since December 2025, Malawi has been experiencing heavy rainfall in most parts of the country, including Kotakota district. The district experienced severe flooding following continuous heavy rainfall, resulting in widespread impacts of household infrastructure and essential services. The floods affected 10,912 households, representing 49,104 people. The disasters caused 12 deaths, 9 injuries, and left 2 people missing. Damage to public infrastructure, including roads, bridges, schools, water supply systems and sanitation facilities, significantly constrained access, delayed assessments, and disrupted service delivery. The flooding also affected 5,643.4 hectares of crops, primarily maize and legumes, undermining food security and livelihoods. Mwaim Tumodzi, NBC News, Lilongwe.
The Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, MERA, has approved a 12% electricity base tariff adjustment. MERA Acting Chief Executive Officer Zachitika says the adjustment is based on the 2023 survey, which recommended a 50.8% tariff adjustment over a 5-year period. Erlin Jamoyo reports.
The 12% adjustment was earmarked for September last year, but was not effected. According to Chintambi, the first tranche of the adjustment was 18%, followed by 16% in February 2025, with the current adjustment being 12%, leading to a 46% tariff adjustment since 2023. Speaking during a media briefing in Lilongwe, the acting CEO expressed hope that the adjustment will help improve the performance of the institution. The Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, is however required to strictly adhere to its regulatory obligations, among them timely performance reporting, while indicating how the base tariff will be implemented in their respective customer categories. In a statement, the power supplier has indicated that the adjustment will assist them in procuring equipment that will facilitate swift response to faults and address their service delivery challenges. The delays in implementing the base tariff hike, among other challenges, led ESCOM to register tariff revenue deficits. Elin Chimoyo, NBC News, Blantyre.
Meanwhile, MERA has clarified the 41% fuel price increase, emphasizing that the country was losing over 20 million liters of fuel to smuggling. MERA Acting Chief Executive Officer Zachitika said this during a press briefing in Lilongwe on Tuesday. Chintambi said the country was losing nearly 10 million United States dollars every month to meeting rising fuel demand from neighboring countries, a development he described as unsustainable. Details in this report by Trust Office.
The fuel price adjustment, which was effected on Monday night, comes after the country abandoned the automatic pricing mechanism in May 2023. According to the Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, MERA, this led to suppressed fuel prices and consequentially losses for fuel importers, as well as reduced levies meant for road rehabilitation. MERA Acting Chief Executive Officer Zachitika said the situation was not sustainable.
Some places around Chipata, service stations were even almost closing. Like you go there, you can't fuel because they have no need, because there's fuel coming from Malawi. And the whole community knows that for them to have fuel, they simply have to wait for jerrycans from Malawi. So almost all our border towns, that has been the issue, where their fuel is coming from Malawi. So essentially, we are satisfying other people's demand, foreign demand. That's not our demand.
While acknowledging the need to raise fuel prices to curb continued smuggling, Economics Association of Malawi President Betha Bangarachikaza has faulted the timing of the adjustment, saying it has coincided with increases in other tariffs.
Fuel prices were much lower than neighboring Tanzania, neighboring Zambia, and also Mozambique. And the price adjustments are generally unavoidable, especially in an import-dependent economy like Malawi that is facing foreign exchange shortages, but also global price volatility. But I think when we look at the macroeconomy, these are coming at such a time where we are trying to fix the economy, but also at the same time, Malawians are grappling with so many taxes.
The fuel price adjustment, which has come alongside an electricity tariff hike, is expected to trigger price changes on the market, particularly following anticipated increases in transport fares. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Deputy Minister of Homeland Security, Norman Gisale, has vowed to recover and refund all unlawfully obtained funds extorted by immigration officials from affected passport applicants. Gisale made the assurance during a follow-up meeting at Capitol Hill in Lilongwe, where he received complaints and evidence directly from the affected citizens. Zachitika has more in this report.
Following his impromptu visit to immigration offices in Lilongwe on 19th January 2026, Deputy Minister of Homeland Security Norman Gisale summoned members of the public with evidence of corrupt practices happening at the immigration offices. He assured the affected applicants their passports would be ready by Thursday as processing is currently underway. Gisale further vowed that every penny paid during the passport application process will be refunded, provided the applicants present irrefutable evidence. Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Homeland Security, Joseph Chawa, said the ministry is working tirelessly to end corruption in government offices by taking firm action against corrupt officials.
This government has taken a very strong stand against corruption, and this is a good direction to us as a ministry, because we have to make sure that all the departments that are under the ministry do not, their officers do not conduct, engage in corrupt practice. You are aware that the immigration is one of the departments that are mentioned when you talk of corruption, that want to start engaging in corruption. So this is a good direction. We are sure that other departments under us, having seen what has happened, they will definitely take measures to control and stop corruption in their operations.
In his remarks, Commissioner for Operations at Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services, Fred Chanyilenda, has commended the move, saying it has exposed the depth of corruption within the offices and that the department will follow the necessary procedures to end the malpractice.
From our end, we've listened, we've understood the problem from the management point of view, but also the guidance that has been given from the government point of view. But then where we are, the issue has been left with the experts as well to investigate criminal elements as alleged, but also investigate, corruption allegations as also alleged.
Speaking on behalf of the affected citizens, Rosaline Moyo, who says she spent 500,000 Malawi kwacha for a passport, commended the Deputy Minister, describing the move as a step in the right direction towards ending corruption in the country. I'm
very happy because of this development. I've been wasting my money for transport, coming to immigration offices for my passport. This means I and those that were affected will be assisted. Again, the corruption tendency will end as they will now be afraid of being caught.
The Ministry of Homeland Security has reiterated that it will not tolerate any form of corruption, emphasizing a zero-tolerance stance to safeguard the integrity of services provided by the government ministries and agencies. Zachitika, MBC News, Lilongwe.
This is MBC News, a reminder of our top stories. Malawi needs at least 209 billion kwacha to recover from the impact of natural disasters. Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, NERA, justifies the 41% fuel price increase. The High Court in Blantyre gives 21 days to parties involved in a case challenging the law that prohibits begging to submit necessary documents. Good People International, a South Korean humanitarian organization operating in Malawi, has donated relief food items worth 100 million kwacha to 1,000 vulnerable people in Cholo Goliati constituency. Member of Parliament for Cholo Goliati, Maureen Namari, received the donation in the presence of the officials from Cholo District Council. Arthur Chokoto reports.
Member of Parliament for Goliath constituency in Cholo District, Maureen Namali, says the donation of various food items followed a proposal she submitted to Good People International after noting rising hunger levels in the area. Namali explained that the intervention is also in response to a call by President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, who recently indicated that all districts in the country are facing food shortages.
Cholo Goliath constituency, there are 12,988 beneficiaries that are affected in food security. Through our mighty DPP, led by Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, through Dodima, the government of Malawi is distributing food items to the affected. Good People International, they are going to assist us today with 1,000 beneficiaries. Each beneficiary will go with a blanket, a plastic bucket, 20 kgs of flour, a bottle of cooking oil, and some items like salt and soya pieces.
Speaking during the handover of the donation, Good People International Country Director Nayun Lee reaffirmed the organization's commitment to supporting vulnerable communities in Malawi.
So we are supporting food packages, and then also there are some rainy season. It was heavy rain in this season, so we are supporting bucket and blanket for the supplies for household. We are going to distribute 1,000 items for 1,000 households. So almost 100 million. Good People International, it's based in Cholo, and then we are already like 14 years in Malawi.
Apart from emergency food assistance, Good People International organization is implementing programs aimed at enhancing education, supporting smallholder farmers, and promoting sexual reproductive health and rights, SRHR, among other initiatives. Arthur Chokoto, MBC News, Cholo.
The High Court in Blantyre, sitting as a constitutional court, has given 21 days to parties involved in a case challenging the law that prohibits begging to submit necessary documents before the court delivers its determination. High Court judges Chimwemwe Kamoa, Annalyn Kantambi and John Chirwa said they will announce the date of their ruling after receiving the submissions. 13 individuals are seeking a review of Section 180 of the country's laws, which criminalizes begging, arguing that it violates their rights, an argument that has been opposed by state lawyers led by Ndoli Jiume.
Our argument is simple and straightforward. We're saying that Section 180B of the Penal Code is constitutional, as it serves to protect not only the disabled but the public as a whole. And we are of the belief that it also causes a nuisance as a whole, having people publicly begging, and we are trying to curb that as an issue.
Bob Bujinkango is representing the applicants.
It is our belief that this law is being applied discriminatorily, because a law must be of general application. You apply it to everybody, anyone. If you find a man in the streets begging, if we are applying the law indiscriminately, then that man should be arrested. If you find a man in a suit begging anywhere in public, then if the law is being applied consistently, that man should be arrested. But as we go back to that judgment, it says that man, that magistrate in 13 years had never seen anybody arrested apart from these people. Now the question is, what criteria did the state use to consider these are the beggars, and are they called the nuisance? That's the accurate word that is being used, nuisance. It means you're just saying these people are not appearing well in the eyes of other people in the society, so let's remove them. Is that how we want our law to be applied?
Minister of Industrialization, Business, Trade and Tourism, George Partridge, has urged the Malawi Bureau of Standards, MBS, to maintain high-level standards in its service delivery. Partridge made the remarks after touring MBS's Mueso headquarters in Blantyre. We have a report by Geoffrey Chinawa.
Speaking after appreciating operations of the Bureau, the minister said government recognizes the crucial role MBS plays in enabling and facilitating trade in the country. He then called on the organization to continue instilling a hard-working spirit among its employees and desist from corrupt practices.
So I was impressed with the technical competence of the people that are manning MBS. I was also impressed with the equipment that they have. Of course, most of the equipment has been donated by donors, but it's a state-of-art equipment, and I was impressed with that. But I was also impressed with their technical skills, and we are confident. We are a growing institution. I'm confident that we can adapt to things that are coming. We do a lot of things, but most of these things are not well known by the public. So one of my messages was to make sure that there is an awareness in terms of the stakeholders on what it is that they do here. And I'm glad to say that the MBS is actually an accredited body and it has trust all over the world. So I'm satisfied, and they facilitate trade and facilitate industrialization as well.
In his remarks, Acting Director General for MBS, Thomas Sengani Malunje, says they will ensure the organization is discharging its duties in line with government's development aspirations.
Yes, the MBS is up to the task that we can support the export drive. What we need is that the current capacity which we have must be used to the fullest extent possible. At the same time, if you look at our strategic plan, which is a public document available on our website, we are extending the scope of our accreditations. What we're doing is we are targeting value chains which have been earmarked for export. For example, macadamia, which was already an export crop, we are accredited in that scope. Tea, honey, and so forth. So what we want as MBS is to increase our engagement with the industry, so that should also inform us in which areas we must focus this capacity in.
The Malawi Bureau of Standards, MBS, has a capacity of testing and certifying a cross-section of products such as construction materials, pesticides, food and electronics. Geoffrey Chinawa, MBC, Blantyre.
World Bank has tipped sub-Saharan African nations, including Malawi, to remove trade barriers and strengthen reform implementation if sustainable growth is to be achieved this year. The latest World Bank Global Economic Prospects report projects growth in sub-Saharan African nations at 4.3% in 2026 and 4.7% in 2027, which is supported by stronger investment and exports. Erlin Jamoyo reports.
Although the World Bank's global economic outlook is painting prospects for the year as a mixed bag, there are significant movements that are on the cards. The report projects global growth to remain steady between now and 2027 at 2.6% in 2026, with an anticipation of a rise to 2.7% next year. Growth in developing economies is expected to slow to 4% before rising to 4.1% in 2027, owing to eased trade tensions, stable commodity prices, improved financial conditions, and strengthening investment flows. However, locally, the Treasury is projecting a 3.8% growth of the economy, owing to easing of inflationary pressures as headline inflation has started to fall, moving from 28% in the third quarter of 2025 to 26% as of now. While making all these projections, the Bretton Woods Institution has encouraged sub-Saharan African nations to work on a number of risk areas, key being trade. World Bank's group economist Endemit Gill has since underscored that to avert stagnation and joblessness, development economies must aggressively liberalize private investment and trade, rein in public consumption, and invest in new technologies and education. Elin Chimoyo, NBC News, Blantyre.
In sports, as a way of taking the game of darts to various people, including children, the Darts Association of Malawi says it is establishing a school and community halls as main venues for the sport. Currently, more darts boards are placed closer to drinking joints where many people, including minors, are restricted. Technical Director for the Darts Association of Malawi, Charles Karola, says they noted the concern and are now working on identifying new venues in schools and other neutral places to host the games. He explains.
Yes, people talk like that. I'll give you an example. Even at the high level, African Union Region 5, we discussed about the same thing. That look, people just think that we just drink. Like me, I don't drink. But I've been playing darts for a long time, and I enjoy playing darts. So what we are saying is, yes, it's there. That's why before African Union Region 5 darts, we were going together with the youth and the seniors. So it was, no. I think when they see the seniors taking a sip, they think that, oh, you'll be able to what? To play well if you drink. But that's not the case. Like I'm saying, I don't drink, but I enjoy playing darts. Zone 6, actually, African Union decided that under 18 must play on their own, and the 19 above must play on their own. I know that we have we have places that sell drinks, but we also have places that don't. And we also trying to utilize the schools, like I said, that we want the schools, classrooms or halls to be used for that. And we also got the Blantyre Youth Center there, where the young ones can do. That's also our target. And even in the north, in the central, they have all these places where the youth can what? They can play, even in classroom. We can just organize, put the dashboard and everything to be there.
And that's it from our newsroom. A recap of our top stories before we leave. Malawi needs at least 209 billion kwacha to recover from the impact of natural disasters. Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, NERA, justifies the 41% fuel price increase. The High Court in Blantyre gives 21 days to parties involved in a case challenging the law that prohibits begging to submit necessary documents. Keep up to date with our news coverage on all digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You were with me, Romeo Omari. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Good morning, and it's time for weather forecast. We are currently still expecting mostly cloudy conditions to persist over the country, accompanied by isolated thunderstorms and rains, which will be heavy in some areas. This is all due to the convergence of moist southeasterlies converging with warm and dry northeasterlies, influencing cloudy conditions over most parts of the country, accompanied by isolated thunderstorms and rains, which are heavy in some parts. This is why this morning, cloudy conditions are persisting over most areas, accompanied by localized heavy rains in some areas over the south, isolated